What's worse than going to put dinner in the oven only to realize you never turned the oven on? Going up to bed and realizing you didn't put fresh bedding on after you stripped it earlier that day, so now instead of getting into a comfy made bed you are having to put clean bedding on when you are really tired. Smiley face. Going to do laundry and finding 3-day-old clean laundry waiting in the washer to go into the dryer. Getting set to cook a nice meal thinking you've got all the ingredients only to find out you forgot a critical ingredient and now you have to go back to the store. Putting your first Thanksgiving turkey in the preheated oven, not realizing someone changed it from bake to broil. That moment of anxiety when you've already lathered yourself up in the shower and realize you forgot a towel. Thankfully you left them in the oven. Turning the oven on when something that was already cooked was in there and you didn't know. Rip Mom's meringue. I did ask if she was done with the oven and I could use it, and she said yes, forgetting you had frozen groceries to put away and waking up the next morning to find them all melted in the trunk of your car. Personal experience. Spending the workday thinking about eating a little chocolate or sweet treat at home and then realizing someone else ate it. Putting the stove on and realizing the gas didn't light when you can smell the gas from the other room. Taking the dinner out of the oven and realizing as you're holding it that you forgot to put an oven mitt on. Searing an expensive roast, seasoning to perfection, put it in the crock pot, turn it on, go to work, back home by 5:30 expecting that beautiful aroma of dinner but nothing. Forgot to plug in the crock pot, angry face, dollar and wasted dinner. Putting dinner in the oven, cooking it, refrigerating it for dinner tomorrow, looking forward to it all day at work and finding out one of your roommates ate it. Fucking cunts. Starting to make dinner and getting halfway through before realizing that you don't have one of the main ingredients and it's too late to go shopping. Realizing I just tried to pay for my hot chocolate with my bus card and everyone definitely saw that and I'm still in uniform. Going to the dorm's laundry room, putting in your clothes, paying for it and starting it just to realize you forgot to put in the capsules and washing detergents. You can't stop it. Just sit sadly and wait. Realizing you're in the middle of IKEA and your pajamas and the oven was actually a Farken German doodle. Having the rest of your dinner ready and then opening the rice cooker to realize you never pressed start. Switching out salt and sugar. My mom used the canister that was the best size for the item and ignored the word on the side. Never a problem until parents went away for the weekend and grandma decided to make sweet and sour stuffed cabbage. Used lots of salt thinking it was sugar. All that work rolling up those cabbage leaves and she had to toss a whole pot. Realizing there was something already in the oven and it is burnt to a shell of its former being. Worse so if it was plastic. Opening the oven to put dinner in and discovering a toxic cloud of melty plastic from a bowl someone decided to store in there. Happened to me. Putting a mac and cheese cup in the microwave only to find out you forgot to put water in it when the timer went off. Going on a half-day hike, reaching the lookout. Reaching for your phone to take a pic and the battery dies. Driving 16 kilometers 10 miles without doing the pocket pat down and realizing you left your wallet at home. Putting meat on the grill after you turned it on only you run out of fuel pellets and when you go back to check it's a sloppy mess. Waking up in the middle of the night and then going for a drink from the fridge only to see the unlit lid on the oven. Getting some ice cream and discovering when you put it back last night, you put it in the fridge compartment rather than the freezer compartment. Realizing that you had ambitions for your life and realizing that you never turned the motivation on at the right times. Going to pull dinner out of the oven only to find out that it somehow got turned off while the food was cooking. Turning the oven on but not turning on the hob so only half of your dinner is cooked. I have done this. Coming home after a long day only to realize you never plugged your crock pot in when you left that morning. Putting a pizza directly on the racks only to realize when it's done that it melted through the rack. Going out and realizing you forgot to lock your door or forgetting to do something your Asian mom told you to do. Skull. Craving specific food you have at home, leftovers, etc. and getting hyped up for it all day. Coming home hungriest just to find that some savage ate it without asking. Or that you are missing a crucial ingredient to make said specific food that you've craved all day. Made the mistake of trying to cook mac and cheese after getting home from work completely exhausted. Hadn't slept for shit in days. Woke up to foulest smell in existence. Took ages to get rid of it. Putting dinner in the oven and realizing you have an appointment to keep in the middle of your food being done. 3. Coming home from a long day to eat your long desired leftover snack meal only to find out somebody else either ate it or threw it out. Realizing you forgot to put the dinner in the oven, let alone preheated it, like your mother said to do, and she just pulled into the driveway. I'm 25 and this memory still haunts me. If it happens in the first 5 minutes, dinner is late by 5 minutes if it happens 30 minutes afterwards. This is when late supper is going to take place. It's rare that you lose 30 minutes because you would usually feel the heat of the oven when slipping in dinner, starting up the washing machine and then getting distracted and it runs through its cycles without a close. Pouring a bowl of cereal, then mindlessly pouring in something other than milk like coffee in your hand. Pulling freshly baked bread out of the oven, cutting yourself a slice, and realizing that you forgot the salt. My friend forgot to turn on her slow cooker one day. I'd be devastated, she knew as soon as she walked in and couldn't smell cooked chicken stew. Crying face. Thinking you were ahead of the game by putting dinner in the crockpot and then coming home from work to realize you never turned it on. Not keeping track of how much toiletries you are left with. And then the one day you are in a good mood, hoping to start your day with a good shower. You get into the shower fully naked and realize you ran out of soap shampoo. Day ruined. When you are cooking something and don't realize you are missing one key ingredient until you're halfway done. I made a rookie mistake last week and washed new fluffy towels with a few other things. They are kind of a rust red. Yes, turning the oven on to preheat, and when it's ready opening the oven to suddenly remember you left some pans in there. Bonus if the pans had plastic handles. Got it. The feeling of suddenly remembering mom told you to turn the roast on at 4 p.m. for dinner, while you hear her car pulling up, preheating the oven and forgetting you put an empty pizza box in there to hide it from the dog and having the oven light on fire, putting new food in the oven and the power goes out unexpectedly causing the food to be partially cooked and ruined. This literally happened to me last night lol. Taking it out of the oven and realizing that the outside of your food is cooked but the inside is still frozen. I'll never make that mistake again. Vomiting face. Thinking your oven works and finding out that one of the coils died and your chicken is only 70 degrees. That sucked. To come home expecting the wonderful scent of beef stew only to find out you plugged in the toaster instead of the crockpot before you left the house for work. Plan get up 6 a.m. to finish defrosting turkey for Thanksgiving dinner by putting it in the kitchen sink filled with cold water. Go back to sleep for a few hours. Reality get up 6 a.m., go into kitchen, turn water on to fill sink, go to pee and forget about turkey. Go back to sleep for a few hours. Getting somewhere a long way from home and realizing you forgot a critical item, ring at a wedding, thumb drive at a conference when presenting, you get it. Expecting dinner in the crock pot to be done after a long day, only to realize you turned it on too warm. So you just had rock hard semi-cooked meat that you aren't sure is still safe. Putting a TV dinner in oven with the packaging still on. Was tired as teen and seen I put it in the oven with packaging still on, burnt cardboard, not a fun smell. This was when you could still put them in the oven and they would come out nice and hot. Baking amazing smelling banana bread, only to realize when you take it out the temp was wrong, and it's burned on the outside and raw in the middle. Crying face. Going to take your baked potatoes out of the oven only to realize that while you did preheat the oven, you never put the potatoes in. I did that once. Getting up early to set up a crockpot meal and getting home to find you never plugged in said crockpot. When you're making dinner, and halfway through, you realize you're out of one of the required ingredients. Telling your boyfriend to put a cover over the cake so the cat doesn't get it. We don't have a cat. Never have. WTF is wrong with my brain? Putting laundry into the washer dryer and turning on the machine and not starting it. Oops, either I'm just behind on laundry or stuff in the dryer starts to not smell good anymore. Trying to pull dinner out of the oven after however long only to realize you never turned the oven on. Having a date night dinner all prepped and ready to cook just for the power to go out for over 3 hours. At that point you just cancel the evening and have a sandwich. This happened to my first wife and me in our first apartment. Had the pasta boiling on the stove, garlic bread in the oven, and want to open the canned spaghetti sauce. Only to find out we somehow didn't currently own a can opener. Thankfully the store wasn't too far away. Going to take it out of the freezer hours after you got home and realizing you never took it out of the grocery bag. I moved into my girlfriend's apartment. She never cooked, and used her oven to store baking sheets and Tupperware. She wanted to surprise me with cookies when I got home, but forgot all that other crap was in there and preheated the oven. The fire department was called when all the plastic caught fire. Going to bed and realizing there's no sheets because you washed them, and that you didn't remember to dry them. The time I was working graveyard shift at a deli across the street from a bar, had a line of hungry drunks stretching all the way out the door. The first guy orders 20 liverwurst and Swiss cheese sandwiches, neither of which we had pre-cut. I ran out of rolls halfway through only to realize I forgot to turn on the oven for the rack of bread I put in an hour before in preparation for the bar rush. Forgetting to turn on the rice cooker after preparing rice and your Asian parents are about to be home in 5 minutes. When you've started mixing and cooking the ingredients only to realize you're missing one crucial ingredient. Using a higher setting to heat the oven up forgetting to change the setting back, burning the food in the oven. Had chicken marinating for a couple hours only to realize I was out of gas for the grill. Need a pan frying, which I like better, but was looking forward to an easier meal. Finishing your grocery shopping and when you're about to pay, bam, no wallet and or debit card. The worst. Preheating the oven and then going to put the food in and realizing that the oven is broken and you don't have money to fix it. Good thing I have a microwave. You realized you never bought or own any oven. Also, why are the furniture so different? Who changed the locks while you were gone? Shit. Why are the police in the kitchen pointing their guns at you? Starting the barbecue and passing out because you're drunk, then being woke up by the fire department because it started on fire then melted into a pool of molten crud on your deck. Prepped the crockpot for Dr. Pepper pulled pork. Went out the entire day snowboarding and came back to room temperature pork flavored Dr. Pepper. Never plugged the thing in. Putting pizza from the supermarket in the oven, only to realize you left the cardboard or plastic wrapper underneath it. Putting your tea in the oven and walking away only to return 20 minutes later and realize your frozen food hasn't been cooking this whole time cause you never turned the oven on in the first place. If you're not trying to make dough rise like in a frozen pizza, preheating is basically meaningless. Chuck that shit right. Knocking up a stripper in Atlantic City and having your wife find out at your anniversary, 2 years later. When said stripper shows up and fights your wife. Getting to work and realizing you didn't bring caffeine or a weed pen so you just got a raw dog the day and hope for the best. Going to put dinner in the oven then realizing you didn't make dinner, don't have an oven, not in a house and you're actually in a coma. Getting your fucking socks wet. But wait, it's not water. It's fucking piss. PC, your dog is an asshole.